Good morning. I'm former Secretary Edwin Lacierda from Pinoy's Administration.
Basanto siya kaposado si namin na imbang abigat tayo min apo. Magandang morning Pilipinas. Former Secretary Hernani Agsalud Braganza, President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo sa Administration.
And we are
The Spokes!
From the Palace Halls, then to our group chats now,
We'll be giving you conversations that will make you think and assess.
so that you could come up with your own personal opinion. And noted by the Spokes this Monday, April 6, DOE Secretary Sharon Garin clarifies that Iran allowing the safe passage of Philippine-bound ships will not immediately lower down the prices of fuel.
First of all, congratulations po kay Foreign Secretary
Tess Lazaro.
Tess Lazaro because
And Energy Secretary
and
Sharon
Energy
Garin.
Secretary because it only took them one day to get the support of Iran to allow the passage of ships carrying the Philippine
Right.
flag. So congratulations po. And at the same time, that will more or less assure us of steady supply sana.
Correct.
Diba?
And tama naman ang sabi ni Sharon Garin na it does not mean the prices will go down kasi it's subject to so many factors. But the important thing is we have a supply. Handa na,
Yes.
importante sa atin yun.
Well, probably the factor is hindi pa tapos yung gera.
Totoo yun.
And it's still escalating.
Nagmula
Diba?
na nga si President Trump sa tweet niya
Anong sabi niya?
F-word. Parang ikaw, di ba? Parang ikaw. Nabibip-bip po na nagbibip-bip sa kanya.
Madadali ka uli sa akin mamaya. No, but the reality is, kahit matapos yung gera, because the oil infrastructure, the supply chain, is already disrupted. Kasi hindi lang naman Iran yung tinatamaan. Other Middle East countries
Right.
as well. So, nagbobombahan kasi ng mga facilities that delivers the oil efficiently.
So there was
that is a problem.
So there was a question, sabi, bakit na lang hindi yung oil pipelines, no? Because laki ng malawak din ang lupa ng Saudi Arabia. But
Yes.
it's the infrastructure of our oil supply has been based on the Gulf, Sa Strait of
Yes.
Hormuz, kaya
90% ata doon nanggagaling.
nandun
ang dami sa
nanggagaling.
atin.
But you have Saudi Arabia has a separate oil pipeline and I think Qatar, pero that would not be sufficient to supply our needs, the needs of the world, of the 20%. So talagang we're still dependent on Strait of Hormuz talaga.
Yes. Then, again, yung Yemen, there's another small strait na may kaguluhan din which will impact, again, 10% of the supply. So, again, that will become a problem.
Alam mo, doon sa Yemen, maraming mga durugista ron. Yemen? Hindi, biro lang. But anyway,
Inglesero ka kasi. May tama ka ngayon. Ano ba nangyari sa'yo?
but anyway, tama
yeah.
ka naman,
Yeah.
Lani, no? The prices will not immediately go down, but at the because it depends on trading speculation and geopolitics, like you said, the war.
Yes.
But at the very least, we have a steady supply of fuel supply. Si Bong Suntay, I think on last weekend, nag-propose siya ng magkaroon tayo ng buffer.
Yes.
Strategic reserves, which is high time naman talaga.
Well, ang sabi nga po nila ng mga naging guest natin dito who are experts in the energy sector, it's mas mahal pag tayo magre-refine. So we buy it sa spot market. Pero yung direct supply na didiretso sa mga oil companies dito, malaking bagay yon. But it is also true na mabilis tumaas yung presyo ng crude o gasolina, kahit normal na, abnormal naman yung pagbaba nito. For whatever reason, hindi natin maintindihan din yung bagay na.
Ayan yung tinatawag sa economics na rockets and feathers. Ang rockets, pag ang presyo paakyat, mabilis.
Yes.
Pero pag bumababa, feather, ang bagal bumaba.
Oo nga.
So, but yan ang talagang natural flow ng prices. But it's important for us to remind na our countrymen ng fake news on fuel supply and prices. No? PCO, in fact, reminded us that spreading false information about fuel shortages or impending lockdowns punishable by law.
I agree with that because very volatile yung situation. Ang sabi nga po natin dito, kapag hindi na ayos itong problema to, the immediate impact, kung patuloy yung pagtaas ng presyo ng gasolina at saka ng mga presyo ng pagkain o bilihin, peace and order. So by creating fake news, di ba, baka sinisindihan mo, binubusan mo ng gasolina. Yung problema, yun lang, wag naman po sa natin, masama yung sitwasyon, wag natin dagdagan ng medyo kalokohan. At wag natin politikahin ito.
You know, the problem there, Nani, is every crisis presents an opportunity. Itong mga fake news peddlers is using this crisis to sow disinformation talaga. And I think government should really be, especially at this situation right now where prices will go up, prices are up. So don't try to take advantage of this crisis to spread false information.
I agree with you, but at the same time, we should also call on government to be proactive in information dissemination. You know, we galing tayo sa public service. During times like this, cabinet meetings, pinapatawag mo na yung mga kabinete, bawat departamento, anong gagawin nyo, anong i-announce nyo, as long as it is aligned with the national agenda. Pinapatawag mo ng local governments, how they can help, di ba? One guest here, kwento nga niya historically, nung may problema tayo sa same crisis, immediately, parang si FPRRD, Shell Habito, immediately yung government, cut nyo lahat ang expenses ng government by 10%. Parang ganon. So, in other words, may nakikita na aksyon. Pangalawang narinig ko is, si Pangulong Marcos ata, sabi niya, kinakap niya yung imported rice to 50 pesos. No? Kalimutan muna natin yung 20. Ang mahalaga ngayon is dapat may mga basic commodities na dapat ikap natin yung presyo because we are a rice-eating country. So, in other words, these are good moves on the part of the administration, but they should do more to combat fake news.
Correct. So, but we'll see. So, but eventually, the government has taken a number of good steps, but ang parang sabi natin, it will never be enough.
Yes. So, tignan po natin. Again, also noted by the spokes, Senator Ping Lacson warns that suspending value-added tax on fuel could cost over 320 billion in lost revenue.
You know, this is the situation in our country right now because we're, you know, maybe the term is so double taxation, but the problem why our oil prices are high because apart from the cost of the oil, papatong ka ng excise tax, which is 10 pesos for, I think, for gasoline, diesel 6 pesos. And over and above that, let's say 100 yan, tapos meron kang 10 pesos sa 110. Over and above that, you have a VAT. So it's not 12% VAT, is 12% on 100 pesos, but 12% on 110.
Yes.
So it really takes a lot. So that's why people are suggesting, let's suspend the VAT. However, a very, very fiscally prudent government will say, let's take a pause kasi we will lose so much revenue, which is why
yung akin lang dito, gobyerno naman yung magsakripisyo. Unang-una, yung gobyerno, pag kinulang ng pondo, pwedeng umutang. Pero yung empleyado na mababa ang sweldo, mataas ang presyo ng pagkain, mataas ang presyo ng pamasahe, may tuition fee na iisipin, hindi naman ganun kadali umutang. Kasi yung kapasidad niya magbayad, di ba, is mahirap. Pangalawa, tauna naman to yung pag-collect ng tax. Normally, it starts first quarter of the year. So, in other words, hindi naman isang taon siguro sana itong gerang to. So, kahit sa kalagitnaan ng taon or latter part of the year, ibaba nyo ng konti. Because we have the highest VAT rate, I think in Asia, 12%. So, ang contradiction kasi dito, tinatanggal mo yung excise tax. Ang principle naman ng taxation, lalo ikaw, abogado ka, Manong Edwin, those who earn more should pay more. Diba? That's the principle of taxation. Ngayon, yung mga importer ho ng mga langis natin, they're earning more. Kung tama ho yung napanood ko na news, at least yung Petron nata 7 to 8 billion per annum. So pag tinanggal mo excise tax nun, yun ang problema.
Okay na yun, excise tax, tatanggalin na.
Yes. So in other words, ang sinasabi ng mga ekspertong naging bisita natin dito, dapat targeted yung issue ng taxation. You tax those who earn more, di ba? Then you remove VAT for those who earn less. Not necessarily totally remove it.
You know, this
bawasan mo lang.
This is whole experiment on targeted subsidies. My problem with targeted subsidies, and I agree with targeted subsidies. However, it will take some time because when you're doing targeted subsidies, you have to create a database for that. So that's a problem. Like I told you before, under the Duterte administration, nung pinasa ang train law, nagkaroon ng problema sa fueling kasi nagpantawid pasada sila. But it took them 2 months to create the whole database. So if you're going to do targeted subsidies, sana, bilisan natin ang paggawa ng subsidies. The database should be there because you're talking about a targeted one. So who are we targeting? How many, for instance, right now, we are going to target food logistics. Sino sila?
Isa yun.
So yun importante, lalo na sa food. That's your concern.
Yeah. So, ang sabi ata rito sa atin, like for example, there are about 137 tricycles sa buong Metro Manila, about 200,000 jeeps. How many buses? Both NCR and provincial. So, in other words, can we issue coupons to these organizations or to these people na pag nagasolina sila, discounted kagad? Para dapat automatic dun yung baba ng pamasahe. Kasi it's like from one pocket to another lang to sa gobyerno eh. Kaya niyang balansehin.
Tama ka ron, that's why there were vouchers, pantawid pasada.
Yes.
But the problem is the bureaucratic process of doing the targeted subsidies. However, there will always be trade-off because government does not work on what's the best solution. There will always be trade-off. May tataman, like over the weekend, the other weekend, ang sabi ng 4-day work week, di ba? Ang sabi naman nung transport, gumagawa kayo ng 4-day work week, paano naman kami kikita? There's always going to be somebody that's going to be a bit affected. But that's really a trade-off. Government works on a zero-sum game kasi may tatamaan talang sector na hindi matutulungan. But the important thing is we tried our best to try to alleviate to the most affected concerns.
This is not the first time na nagka-crisis tayo ng ganito. Probably this is the third time na nagka-crisis tayo ito. We should have learned from the past, tapos improve the lessons of the past to address the problem now. Yun lang naman po yun eh. Now, obviously, like in Metro Manila, ang malaking problema ito, transport. Kasi, looking at the demographics at saka income structure ng Pilipinas, of the 20 million families, malinaw 1 million lang talaga yung halos hindi tatamaan dito. Pero umaaray pa rin. The remaining balance of
1 million what?
1 million families.
That's around 5 million people. Huh?
Yes, hindi masyadong aaray yun. But the remaining balance of 19 million, di ba? Yung 8 million doon, ito yung mga may maliit din na negosyo, may malaking negosyo, nagtatrabaho sa gobyerno, mataas ang posisyon, umaaray na ngayon. But the balance of 11 million, yung talagang umaaray. So in other words, kumpleto naman ng datos yung gobyerno. Mahirap sabihin at this point na may crisis, ngayon po lang pag-aaralan ito. Dapat the reaction should have been immediate, then learn from the mistake kung meron, then adjust lang.
I think the problem is the last oil embargo that we have, similar to this, is in the 70s pa eh.
Panahon po nung dating Pangulong Marcos.
That's why there's no institutional memory on how we handle the crisis. So, but at the very least, I've seen mas mabilis gumalaw. Pero there's always be saying na kulang pa rin. Pero importante, my first, my primary concern was we're able to get a steady supply of oil at the very least once DFA and DOE was able to negotiate. Anyway, those are the headlines noted by the spokes today. To spice up the first day of the week, we'll talk to one of the loudest voices in social media when the spokes return after this short break. And the spokes is back with a lawyer political vlogger known for his outspoken views, colorful political commentaries, and viral engagements. Natatawa na ako. Co-host of Political Talks here at BNC, Atty. Falcis.
Welcome, Atty. Falcis. Nice to meet you, first time.
Good morning. First time ko with both. And soon-to-be secretary. Again. Di ba, Kong? Di ba?
Ewan ko.
Soon-to-be. Again.
Ako, parang humble girl lang to, in and out.
May 2026.
Ganun. Wow,
Sandali. Ano doon, chismis? Balikan natin muna. Atty. Falcis, paborito mo raw ang fist or Duterte sign?
Ang fist.
Oo.
Duterte sign. Oh yes. Paborito ko na yan ngayon.
Bakit?
Kasi justice is coming eh. We have to reclaim symbols.
You're referring to the justice in The Hague or the impeachment?
And here, everywhere. Diba ang... I'm using this word academically, di ba? The word faggot for gays used to be a bad word.
Right.
But when the LGBT community uses it, they reclaim it. Ganon din sa mga blacks, African Americans, no? So there are negative words or symbols. Of course, the Dutertes, the DDS, they will disagree. But for many people around the world, for objective people around the world, this is a fascist sign. It's a dictatorial sign. It's a murderous gesture. But we have to reclaim this because it's a normal sign.
Don't get this wrongly.
Yeah,
Mahilig tayo sa Pilipinas kasi gumawa ng kung ano-anong symbol.
Correct.
So, hindi nataon lang kaya na yung ganong symbol, yun ang nakita nila na hindi masyadong ginagamit. Like, may thumbs up, may V, may laban.
And it fits the brand of Duterte, which is tapang. Parang talagang
Tapang at malasakit.
pwede makipagsuntukan. Diba? Kaya fist sign. Pero sa akin, here, it's like you're charging, diba? You're ramming, which is justice. Justice is finally catching up.
So how confident are you on the situation on The Hague as well as impeachment?
Well, I don't want to say na I'm confident, no? But if you look at the trends, most likely the charges will be confirmed and most likely
In The Hague.
jurisdictional challenge will be dismissed. April 22, the ICC already announced they will announce the decision for the jurisdiction, not yet the confirmation of charges. Kasi ang confirmation of charges, it ended February 27. And the pre-trial chamber has 60 days from Feb 27, so it has until April 27. That's why nag-announce si ICC na maglalabas siya ng decision on jurisdiction because it's useless to confirm the charges if i-dismiss based on jurisdiction. So we will know on April 22 if may jurisdiction, which most likely there is because already the lower chamber already ruled. And then we will know if the charges are confirmed. Most likely, I think both will happen.
That is on the legal side. But on the political side, regardless of the decision, mapakawalan si Pangulong Duterte, makonvict, mag-proceed yung trial, makonvict si Pangulong Duterte, it will impact on Philippine politics.
Definitely.
Will not that make VP Sara stronger come presidential elections? Yun lang ang nakita ko.
So what's your take? Will it help or will it damage the Vice President?
No, first of all, hindi nga si VP Sara ang concern ko Ang concern ko is we have a very long-term damage to our culture and history. Kasi it will be like our Nazi or Hitler problem, which is but Germany has responded to it very well. But there is denialism, there is historical revisionism. So for me, the impact of the ICC trial is that it's important in terms of ensuring the correct history is recorded. Because if, let's just say, and I'm not wishing this to happen, President Duterte dies, the trial will end. And when the trial ends, it's like Marcos again. Ayaw nila kay BBM. Ayaw na namin kay Ferdinand Marcos Sr. and kay BBM. Ano ba nangyari kay Ferdinand Marcos Sr.? He was never tried. That's why, ba't nanalo si BBM? Noong 2022, ang naging narrative, ay hindi naman na convict, hindi naman nakulong. Anong kaso? Ganon. Ginaganon yung mga allegations, which are not allegations, no? They're historical fact, against FM Sr. So, for me, beyond VP Sara first, kasi it's not political. This is about human rights. Fundamental human rights na they're saying Duterte is deprived of due process, but he deprived that.
So you're saying somehow,
For 30,000 people.
based on what you're saying right now, you're very confident that The Hague will render a ruling convicting the former president?
Not yet, not necessarily. But for me, if I hear the evidence, if I look at the evidence, so far na lumabas, no, yung mga affidavits ni Las Cañas Matobato, which the ICC has not released, ako ang ko dyan yung nasa Vera Files, nandun sa mga NGOs here who have sifted through the testimonies of the EJK victims. It's clear as day that Duterte is liable. Davao pa lang. Davao Death Squad pa lang to National Death Squad when he was president. There's no way he should not be.
You're saying liable in terms of command responsibility?
No, liable in terms of one, direct participation din. Kasi he mentioned dati na he would go around Davao to catch criminals and kill some of them. He admitted
But that's
but the people are saying it's a joke.
No, but what he's saying, if you're applying criminal law here, is it principal by direct participation? But this is more on inducement, di ba?
It's inducement, not command responsibility per se, because he's an indirect co-perpetrator, which has 3 different modes that the prosecution team has outlined in the ICC case. So hindi nila theory actually ang command responsibilities.
Okay.
So, but
Sa ICC.
So, conversely, what you're saying is, if assuming the ICC would render a decision acquitting, then that strengthens the whole Duterte-led.
That's good. I mean, if maakwit siya, that's good. I follow the evidence. I will hear the evidence. Hindi naman tayo, we're not crazy. I'm not crazy. If the evidence shows, and the defense, like Kaufman, is able to present a witness to debunk or to rebut all the claims, we'll believe that. But to see is to believe. To hear is to believe.
Let's go to the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. We've got a huge problem right now, and the concern, and for Professor Malutikia, very, very expressly stated, let's set aside first the impeachment because we've got a huge oil crisis right now. What's your take on that?
Malutikia is a propagandist. Oh, she's absolutely wrong on that. Ang daming points eh. First of all, is the Constitution suspended just because there's an oil crisis? No. Accountability Article 11, wala naman doon nagsasabi. SEC, di ba na, itsantabi mo yan. Pag may crisis, kahit nga may gera eh. Wala naman sinasabi, suspended yun eh. Pag may gera, martial law, okay, nandun. Sabi ng Constitution yun, walang suspension. And by the way, ang mali dyan ni Malutikia, nauna pa tong impeachment than the oil crisis. Si oil crisis ang sumabay, hindi si impeachment ang sumabay sa oil crisis. Kung last year pa lang hindi nila question sa Supreme Court yan, edi tapos na sana yung trial. Either acquitted na si VP or convicted or dismiss yung kaso by the Senate. So, ang maling timing is the Duterte, the DDS, si VP Sara, kasi pinatagal niya ng sobrang tagal. Who would have predicted na may oil crisis ngayon? Nobody. I mean, well, some people did. Kasi you can see the trends and what Trump is saying. But di ba, dapat tinapos na yun last year eh. Ang maling timing, yung pag-delay. Not the impeachment.
You know, mahirap tawaran tong crisis na to because it impacts on everyone. Kasi hoda kung pro Marcos ka, pro Duterte ka, o nag-aantay ka lang kung kanino kakampi o kalaban.
Fence-sitter.
So, this is the time where the president should be calling for unity. Now, my point is, the vice president is very popular. Di ba? So, in other words, to call for unity, dati naman kayo magkakampi. Hindi ba kayo pwedeng mag-ceasefire sandali, tapusin natin itong crisis, di ba, isang tabi muna natin itong problema, then let's resume after the crisis. Is that not possible? No, from a practical standpoint,
Yeah, not from a legal one.
not from not from a legal one. Okay, yun lang ang akin.
Yes.
Kasi mahirap manawagan ng unity, tapos, mas lamang yung kalaban mo kaysa sa'yo, popularity-wise.
Yeah. Ako kasi syempre as a lawyer, I have to say nga, emphasize, although you said as a practical move, the Constitution cannot be suspended just because there's an oil crisis. So accountability, didiretso yan, uusod yan, regardless kung anong mangyari. But sa practical wise, how can you have unity with someone who threatened to kill you? And hindi yun biro ha. Talagang dinadownplay lang yan ng mga Duterte at ng mga DDS. Hindi yan biro, twice yan. Isa yung imagination na pinugutan ni VP Sara, yung isa is yung to contract an assassin, conditional threat daw, yun ang palusot, which wala namang ganun sa batas na conditional threat. Sabi niya, magkocontract siya ng assassin, pag pinatay ako, patayin yan. That's already a threat. And may I say, Kong, sabi ni Congresswoman Zamora sa impeachment case, she was a prosecution team last year. And they already saw the evidence as to the death threats to prove that from the NBI. So, April 14 is really a explosive day kasi that is when I expect, kung sinasabi ni Kong Zamora na may evidence, ako I'm waiting, anong evidence, Kong Zamora? I wanna see it too kasi sabi mo, nakita mo na eh. And it's enough to convict.
Ito kasi problema ko, Attorney Falcis eh. Di ba? But apparently, there is a delay or a potential cover-up doon sa
Flood control
investigation, which is also bad and worse. So, hindi pwedeng one rule can apply to your friends and another rule against your enemies.
Totoo naman.
In the call for unity at this point. Sabi ko nga po, hindi naman ako fan ni Pangulong Marcos, but I do agree.
Fan ka ba ni Vice President Duterte?
Ano no?
Fan ka ba ni Vice
I
President
worked with him
Duterte?
sa peace talks. And in fact, I was the only yellow guy who was appointed in that because katabi ko si Pangulong Duterte.
Nene, fan mo ba si VP?
Si VP Sara, are you a fan?
Sabi mo hindi mo fan si BBM eh. So fan mo ba si VP?
Kaibigan ko siya eh.
Okay.
Kilala ko siya eh. Kasi nakakasabay ko mayor eh.
Okay.
To be a fan is different.
Okay.
So I'm just being frank and honest about it. I'd rather be transparent rather than being biased because I'm politically aligned with someone else, which I'm not.
Pero ang
So I'm
tanong ko
just
kasi,
stating a fact.
ako, rhetorical question kong, if ibalik ko sa iyo yung tanong, if mag-unite with
Hindi,
Sara,
kami ang host eh.
well,
Gusto mo palit tayo?
hindi.
No, I'm just kidding.
Welcome,
Rhetorical
we're
question.
now in
I was
political
just
talks.
kidding.
Every Friday po.
Well, hintayin mo yung oras mo kasi. Hindi ako nagtatanong.
No, I'll answer you with a question. Diba? If mag-unite with VP Sara, what will that do to the oil crisis? Nothing. Zero. There's no effect. Will the oil crisis
It
stop?
lessens the political noise.
Well,
And it stops the spreading of false disinformation.
who's spreading the false
Well,
disinformation?
presumably
No,
the
no, no,
enemy
no,
of
no,
the
no, no, no.
administration.
Let's be, I'll try to
No,
be.
I want to know the practical effect.
Yes,
What's the practical effect of unity?
Look.
Assuming it can happen, ha?
Ang
Because they
sinasabi,
already said it
who's
cannot.
creating the political noise? Parang may kasalanan eh. Let's be frank and honest about it. Because traditional media doesn't do that. We just report the news. But in social media, kaliwat kanan.
That's why it lessens the political noise in
Hindi,
this
kaya
unity.
nga. No, may question kasi sa mga-
not only that, including fake news. I'm not saying you're saying it. But what I'm simply saying is, di ba?
Yes, and I'm not here to defend BBM.
No, I'm
Actually,
not even saying you're defending. I'm talking about the fact na
May flood
to
control.
reduce political noise, di ba, plus the rules of your friends, my enemies, parang hindi parehas.
but Duterte did that too noon And nobody lifted a finger. Asa na tong mga Duterte na camp?
No. Let me point this out.
Arguing against
Don't go
Duterte.
back in the past.
Hindi, let's
Because
go here.
No, the problem is the present. Ang
Correct,
sinasabi ko
correct.
lang, I'm very practical about it. I'm just stating a fact. May problema ng corruption sa bansang ito. May problema rin tayo ng Duterte problem.
that's why
And
they should have-
apparently, the rules are not the same
Hindi, that's
in
why-
applying the law.
Because they did not bring out the evidence, sir, sa complaint, sa impeachment complaint. Kung itong 18 Marines lumabas before the filing of impeachment complaint, kung nag-file yung mga Duterte congressman ng impeachment complaint, hindi sila nag-file
So the
Walang
question
Duterte
is,
congressman
why
na
is the
nag-endorse.
Senate not inviting the 18 Marines? And why is it using other government
Hindi.
institutions to have them investigated?
Tanong natin si Senping, ako hindi ko problema yon. But I support you in terms of accountability. Pero ang tanong ko is kung sasabihin na wag ituloy yung kay VP Sara, kasi yun yung pinaka-question nyo, sir. Practical effect tsaka legal Wag ituloy because may energy crisis. Sa akin, sorry, practically, with all due respect, sir, what does it do? Nothing.
Alam mo kung nani.
To unite. Walang practical effect, sir.
Napakong nani ako. Manong nani.
Mas matanda ka.
Nasa debate po tayo, but there's a debate that applies
Later.
here. There's a debate.
Pinapractice ko lang siya.
Tama naman.
Di ba?
Now comes a debate with suspended Cavite 4th District Representative Kiko Barzaga. How was the debate finalized?
Well, ang tagal na niyan. December pa yan.
You challenged him?
I challenged Rowena Guanzon.
Okay.
Na matapang daw pero duwag talaga. Because she does not want to debate with me. Sabi niya, hindi daw kami magka-level, ang dami niyang ad hominems, ang dami niyang palusot. Of course, ako naman, I can agree with her, she has more to lose. Pero kung mas magaling siya sa akin, dapat ang dali ko lang ilang paso. Ilang paso niya ako with the facts and logic. Sa sobrang galing niya, UP Law, Harvard. Sabi ba niya Harvard siya? Hindi naman talaga siya Harvard Law. I think yung Harvard niya is parang hindi naman LLM. Iba yung Harvard niya, which is still Harvard, okay? Comely Commissioner, COA, whatever. Napasuhin niya ako
In
sa
the case
debate.
of Miss Lovely Granada, hinamon siya ng mga DDS to a debate. Ang sabi niya, bakit kayo? Kung gusto niyo si VP. Ganun ata yung sitwasyon niya.
Ako muna si Guanzon kasi wala siya sa Rockwell. Nagwala siya sa Rockwell as a lawyer, challenge ko siya kung ano-ano mga pinagsasabi niya.
Nagmumura si Bing Guanzon sa Rockwell dahil sa somebody asked her to wear
Put
a
on a
mask.
face mask. Wala kasi siyang face mask. Ang yaman-yaman niya.
That incident.
Ang
Okay.
yaman-yaman daw ni Guanzon, wala siyang pambili ng face mask. Tapos talsik laway pa siya. Siyempre, magreklamo yung ibang Rockwell. Oh my God, pupunta ka ng Rockwell and you expect people not to call you out? Of course, they'll call you out. Rockwell yun
Alam mo talaga.
Alam mo talaga, it's the age of social media. Iba na yung lingwahe ngayon
But to
dito.
go back to Kiko Barzaga, ha? So in fairness kay Kiko Barzaga, ang maganda sa kanya, nag-substitute siya. So sabi niya, okay, ako na lang, wag si Guanzon kasi ayaw daw ni Guanzon. Akala naman nila, hindi ako kakasa kay Kiko Barzaga. O kakasa ako, congressman yan Tsaka ang dami din yung fake news Hindi mag-debate kami.
Question lang. Are you a legalist in terms of defending institutions or are you an advocate?
I'm an advocate.
You're an advocate.
Oo,
in
gibain
other
mo ang institutions.
In other words,
Reform it.
your bias is given when you become an advocate.
Of course, I'm open
okay.
with my bias.
Hindi,
I'm transparent.
Para klaro lang.
I'm transparent with my bias kasi ano ko, sir, advocate ako. Yung Duterte time na yan, one of the worst. Pinagdaanan ko yan.
And probably if we get a DDS na guest dito, they will also say, this is the worst.
This is the worst? Hindi. Nagsimula kay
No,
Duterte
if we
yun.
get-
I know.
So, in other words, ganun lang ang palitan
Yung
niya.
flood
In other
control,
words.
nagsimula kay Duterte yan.
Yeah.
Sabi ni Diskaya, nagsimula sila.
Okay.
Duterte
Pag-usapan
this.
natin si Kiko Barzaga. Your thoughts on Kiko Barzaga's statement that Sara Duterte will do better in a crisis situation. But before you answer that, the spokes will return after this short break.
The spokes is back, still with Attorney Jess Falcis. And our hanging question a while ago was, your thoughts on Kiko Barzaga's statement that VP Sara will do better in a crisis situation.
Ano siya hindi siya stable She reacts, by impulse. Nakita na natin yan sa kanyang meltdown dun sa Zoom. Diba? If she had control, she would not say those things.
But I suppose she has better handlers now because I remember there's a...
Nagbago. Yes, sir.
She has better handlers now. I understand Singaporean PR firm na...
Very conscious yung PR change and that's why it's super fake. Super fake yung kanyang ginagawa ngayon na sobrang mabagal, magsalita, parang grade 1 o grade 5 ang kausap, tapos plan A, plan B, plan C, be kind, be humble.
What is your take on her announcement that she's officially running for president? In the course of the impeachment case. Is that a good move or a bad move on her part?
It's a nothing burger. Everybody expected that. She just had to do that para talagang she has a propaganda narrative na kaya lang siya ini-impeach dahil tatakbo siya. Kaya lang naman siya nag-announce sa tatakbo siya kasi ini-impeach siya. Binabaliktad nila Lagi nilang binabaliktad yung kwento.
Is that not a warning sign sa mga boboto sa impeachment na pag nagkamali kayo, I'm running for president, lamang ako sa survey,
Babalikan kaya?
hindi naman babalikan, but you'd better think kung sinong kakampi nyo come 2028.
Sa Senado, mas takot sila. Sa Congress, hindi, sir. Kasi, as you know, all politics is local
Who's takot sila? Takot ang congressman?
Senado.
Senado takot.
Kasi tatakbo si VP Sara because they will be more affected by VP Sara running and whether or not she campaigns against a senator or not. Pero ang congressman, napahiyayan si Sara in many local races. Ang dami niyang local races na kinampanya niya na matalo yung congressman, hindi natalo.
Si Joel Chua.
Very few ang natalo. I would give VP Sara maybe 1 or 2 congressman. Medyo nakalimutan ko na natalo dahil pumunta siya on the ground. But all politics is local. Iba yung relationship ng mga constituents with their congressman dito sa endorsement power at national power ng isang Sara Duterte. Senado, well affected.
Well, in fairness, I've been there before. Running for Congress, hindi mo talo as congressman. It's more personal kasi.
Let's talk
Yung
about the
relasyon.
impeachment trial. Let's set aside the fact that it's not yet going up yet, but let's assume that it will go up to the Senate. The impeachment trial is, as we say, is sui generis. It's a unique proposition, but while it takes on the character of a judicial trial, it always boils down to numbers. Does the administration have the numbers to convict Sara?
Well, dito nga ako babalik sa sinasabi ni Kong Nani kanina na ano nangyayari sa flood control. Ako kasi, ang tanong ko dyan, pinaasa nyo kami December 2025 na may magpapasko sa kulungan. Tapos biglang naging Enero, Pebrero, Marso, tapos mag-iinit daw.
Abril, Mayo.
Mag-iinit daw ngayong tag-init, di ba? Diyos ko naman, ilabas na lang yung warrants of arrest. Pero ang sagot ko dyan sa tanong mo, Sek, is baka kasi nagkakaarigluhan. I hope not.
But
Kung manonood ang mga BBM administration, si Yusek Claire Castro, with all due respect, Ombudsman Boying Remulla, the longer it goes, ang dating sa akin, nagkakaarigluhan Hindi ka ikukulong in exchange for something.
Do you sense that? Do you sense that happening?
Yes.
To get let's say for instance, let's
To get to 16.
To get to 16, you've got 2 senators who are looking at cases being filed. Senator Joel Villanueva and Senator Jingo Estrada. How do you see
Tatlo nga, sir. Senator Cheese din.
Pwede ko ba idagdag based on that? Ang sabi nila, 8 lang daw boboto for conviction na senador.
Sa akin naman, ako ang sagot ko dyan,
So-
it doesn't matter if they don't get the numbers to convict. Sa akin, what is important is to try. First of all, kasi yung conviction, we presuppose na itong mga senador, made up na din talaga yung minds nila. Ako, I would give them the benefit of the doubt. Magiging mabait ako.
Benefit of the doubt, hindi doubt.
Presume good faith, di ba? Nagagawin nila yung trabaho nila, titingnan muna nila yung ebidensya bago sila mag-convict or acquit. Hindi pwede ngayon, we're already speculating na most of them will acquit because of politics and alliances. I think like nung corona impeachment, madaming gumalaw when you heard the evidence. So ako, it's important to hear the evidence, not just para sa mga taong tulad ko, para sa mga pro-Duterte. Para kung talagang inosente si Sara, pakita niya na inosente siya.
Justice Corona was not convicted at the end of the day.
No, wait. Let's separate the criminal from the impeachment. The impeachment, he was convicted because of the evidence sa SALN. No? SALN, tama ka, when the SALN evidence came out, at saka medyo dinisrespect niya ang Senate Impeachment Court, the public tide turned against him. So we're expecting evidences that will be presented in the trial that will convert the non-believers or the fence-sitters to...
Imagine kung malaman natin yung NBI evidence. Ano ba yung evidence ng NBI na sabi ni Kong Zamora proves na may kinontract na assassin? That can change people's minds.
Question lang. I watched one of the videos doon sa House impeachment. So I think the chairperson was asking, nandiyan ba yung SALN ni VP Sara? Ang sabi parang, we will produce it. So the evidence is not there? Is that what that means?
Well, Supreme Court said you can still produce additional evidence. Yan ang mali ng mga Duterte. Sabi nila, fishing expedition, you cannot produce evidence midway. Wrong!
In fact, ang question ko is, why is it so hard to get yung mga SALN ng mga politiko?
Ayun.
When in fact, that should be public.
Dapat uploaded na lang tayo.
If I'm not mistaken, the SALN of the congressmen are not with the ombudsman, but with the House.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of just releasing them.
Pero kay VP Sara kasi ano siya mayor. So it's with the ombudsman.
Oh yeah, right.
She was never a congresswoman.
No, sorry,
I think so.
I forgot. Yes, VP is with the ombudsman.
VP is with the ombudsman.
So why can't the ombudsman Boying Remula just
They will give down. They
to
will
the
comply.
House?
Yes.
So,
Sabi ni Kiko Clavano.
The other thing pala, let's assume dito pa lang sa House may quote-unquote mini trial.
Huwag natin gamitin
Exactly, that's what sila.
but that came from them.
Jinky Luis
Galing kay Ronald Llamas yan.
Hindi kay Jinky Luis.
Galing kay Luis to. Look, let's call a spade a spade. Para malinaw lang usapan dito. Mahirap kasi yung tinatumbling natin yung information.
Anyway, whatever the term is, yes.
Ako din, sir, isa ako sa mga gumamit ng mini trial. Way before Kong Jervin.
But you're not a member of Congress.
Let's set aside that.
Diba?
But one thing that's going to happen in the hearing in the House is evidences will be presented there.
Yes.
Under the impression that if assuming it doesn't go up to the Senate, nandun na ebidensya, makikita na ng mga taong bayan. At mako-convince na rin ang public doon sa mga evidence against Sara. Do you agree with that strategy?
If I agree with that or not, it doesn't matter because that is the consequence of the Supreme Court decision.
Will it have an effect on the public?
Oh, definitely. Everything has an effect. VP Binay, numbers very high. Nagkaroon ng Senate hearing, investigation, or...
But I'll tell you what the difference with
Bumaba.
the VP Binay. That happened during our time. The VP Binay was like a teleserye. It's like a quadcom hearing. Araw-araw yan . Dito, naka-recess, tatlo lang ang hearing date na sinet nila. Do you think
sa House?
Apat.
Sa
House.
15, 22, 29, and May 6 yata. But that's going to be... Hindi yan tulad ng teleserye na style ng quadcom or ng VP Binay hearing.
In fact, my question is, do you think...
Yeah, so it might not affect, pero sa akin, the truth needs to come out.
But the thing about whether you agree with that is the perception of guilt, which will sway the senators and the public. Because once the public's on the side of conviction, the senators will be more bold to do that.
In fact, ang question ko, does the House have the numbers to elevate this to...
Oh, definitely, sir. Kasi 1/3 is just a very low number. Oo.
Anong plano
Nagbilang na
nila? 106 ang ahab, ang
105 or
105 ang
106.
threshold, pero they're looking at 150 raw ang narinig ko .
150 to 200. Last year is 200 plus.
Some people are saying kasi na the reason is delayed kasi wala pang numero. Pangalawa, gibain na si VP Sara sa House para by the time umakyat sa Senado is precisely what we're saying
It's
here.
not delayed because walang numero. It's delayed because they have to be very careful in how they handle the proceedings so that the Supreme Court doesn't have a reason to nullify or step in. Yun ang ginagawa ni Kong Jervil. So yung mini trial, with all due respect, sir, no, she has never said that in a hearing. She only says that in interviews. So for the Duterte camp to use it na i-question because mini trial, bawal yan, only Senate can try. She has never said that in
But someone said it. And it's the administration. No. Let just call a spade. Someone said it on the side of the administration.
But not inside the halls of Congress.
Pero in other words, no, it doesn't matter where she said it. She's the chairman of the committee.
I would beg to disagree, sir. Kasi it has to happen within the halls of Congress.
Alam mo, I like you as a person, but I beg to disagree. I beg to disagree in twisting that this person said it regardless of in the age of media, you're the chairperson. You should be more responsible.
I will go with Nani on this
You
point.
should be more
because-
responsible.
Sige. But even if we use the word mini trial, so what? Hindi nga full-blown eh. It's a mini trial. It's for the purpose of educating the public. Na there's a difference between the trial na nakikita mo sa teleserye, kay Coco Martin at sa mga courtroom scenes.
Is that what the Supreme Court is saying na there should be an investigation?
Sabi ni Supreme Court sa 2026 resolution that there should be a hearing.
Yes.
Because textually, nasa Constitution yan, textually explicit after hearing. Saka lang maraming
Alam mo,
article
kaya ang
17.
question ko kasi, if it's a mini trial, how come the lawyers or even VP Sara probably cannot even ask the witnesses?
Ano, that's
You know what?
similar to a preliminary
Do you know why
investigation.
it's a mini trial, sir? Because a trial has two sides. Adversarial usually ang trial. That's why mini trial kasi unlike in other impeachment before na hindi masyado sinunod by the letter ang rules kasi nga mas lenient noon, mas lax, no? Ngayon, they had to issue a show cause or an requirement sa PINA kay VP Sara to file a counter. Yung counter affidavit, yan ang pwedeng magawa ng mini trial because under the law, pinagbabangga yung questions
Wait,
of fact.
for the record.
Sorry,
for
okay, go
For
ahead.
the record,
Go ahead.
it wasn't the fault of the House to insist on what they're doing now. It was a prescription of the Supreme Court, and specifically Justice Marvick Leone suggested that was a line. So,
I agree with it, but the word mini trial came from the administration side. Yun ang nag-bounce back, yung DDS side, yung Duterte. Yun lang ang sinasabi ko.
Balikan ko din ko nga, kaya ko din maano sa mini trial, pasensya ka na, buhatin ko lang bangko ko. Last year ko pa kasi yan sinasabi, baka kasi may nakikinig sa House.
Ang galing mo kasi. Sa sobrang galing mo, nakinig
That's
sila.
why, yes, blame me.
Di ba?
Don't blame them.
That's a good deflection if you're an advocate.
Yes, ako ang nagpasimuno niyan with Sec Ronald Llamas. Kami may pautot niyan, hindi sila.
Talaga?
Yes.
So, you're correct in that sense.
No, you can look at it historically, sir. Ang aga namin sinabi niya ni Sec Llamas.
Oo nga, but the issue is not you. The issue is
why the hell did you use mini trial in the first place?
Because, yun nga, magpe-present na ng evidence.
Well,
Yung kinakatakot ng mga Duterte na marinig ang evidence for the truth to come out will finally happen.
It does
Alam
present.
mo, it happens there, it happens in the Senate, evidences will come out anyway.
But in any event,
Senate kasi hindi friendly eh. As you have said, di ba? Hindi siya ganun ka-friendly sa paglabas ng ebidensya. And may traumatic experience ng taong bayan. Yung forthwith ay binaluktot ng isang senador doon.
Sino?
So how can we trust the Senate?
Sino?
Yung isang ano doon, bulok
Sino?
na keso.
Di ba na? Let's go to the tough question, Jess.
Hindi, sorry ah.
Yung contractor na 30 million, hindi donation.
One last point from my end. Okay. The impeachment process involves the House and the Senate. So, in other words, we have to respect not only due process, but the rule of law. By being biased, I'm not saying you, because marami namang bias dito, nadidistort yung isip ng tao. So, yung katotohanan, baka hindi lumabas simply because mas maingay yung bias rather than the evidence at the end of the day. So, if you want to know the truth, di ba?
That's a good point. That's a good
Yun
point.
naman ang akin.
But
Di ba?
But Sec, let me answer that with a great legal point then.
Hindi,
With a very serious legal point.
ang tanong ko sa'yo kasi ganito eh. Debate kayo ni Kiko, ba't di ka hinamon ng boxing? Nakipag-boxing si Kiko Barzaga kaya?
Ito na po ay hindi show na po na spokes. Debate ito ngayong araw na to.
Combined show to ng politiko at saka spoke.
I'll answer you with a very constitutional legal point about mini trial. Madami kasing tao, even lawyers, forget the grand design of the Constitution. When you say House and Senate, it's one whole impeachment proceeding, that's true. Pero bakit ba dinivide na ang Senate has the sole power to try and the House has the sole power to initiate. It's because yung sa House, yung due process dyan, sir, which is with all due respect to the Supreme Court, ito yung pagkakamali nila, akala nila adversarial due process lang ang pwede dyan. Hindi. Kasi nga sui generis eh. So meron pang isang type ng due process, I'm sure Edwin knows that, which is inquisitorial. Inquisitorial is in other jurisdictions, hindi mo na kailangan pakinggan both sides na i-present because you're not convicting eh. You're not trying. Ang purpose mo is to whether or not meron bang charges na pwedeng idala to a court or to a judge.
Let me also remind you, been there, done that sa impeachment.
Hindi.
No, and you were successful in doing it.
No. Ito yung sagot ko, sir, sa mini trial.
Yun ang sinasabi
A mini
ko.
trial can happen. Kaso nga lang, nag-iiwas si Kong Jervil kasi nga madaming pilosopo na Duterte
Jinky.
lawyers.
Luistro.
Kong Jervil Luistro, the chairperson.
okay.
Kong Jervil Jinky. Kaya niya iniiwasan niyang mini trial after issuing ng mga Duterte lawyers because pinipilosopo nila. But they forget sa constitutional design, the House can actually be
sige na.
inquisitorial.
Let's
So,
move.
one last question sa akin from my friend. Ikaw ba nagkalat nito na may stage 4 cancer si Martin Romualdez? Colon cancer, saka si Kong JJ Suarez, pumanaw na. Sa'yo magaling to?
Ako o si Kiko Barzaga or mga DDS?
Hindi ko alam.
Hindi ako.
I'm asking.
Akala ko iba yung may stage 4 eh. Akala ko si PBBM, sabi ng mga DDS.
Oh? Really?
What were your top 3 fake news since 2022?
Since 2022, grabe, sobrang dami. Hindi ko na matandaan. Nasa Facebook ko, sir. Top 3 na fake news since 2016 na lang.
Sige.
Pwede ba? Ang number 1 is buntis si Lenny. Yan ang kinainisan ko talaga noon. Sobrang malaking kalokohan
Kailan niya?
ng mga
2016
DDS.
daw.
Buntis si Lenny. Imagine may hashtag pa sila noon. Ang kakapal ng muka. Tapos ngayon nakala mo mga political pundits, mga sinungaling naman yan noon eh. Yun ang number 1, buntis si Lenny. Noon pa. Number 1, slut shaming. Number 1, sexist. Number 1, misogynistic attack nila. Grabe. And then they did that to De Lima. They're doing it now to Yusek Claire Castro. My God, these people have no shame. Top 1 na lang. Kasi ang hirap tandaan, sir.
Sige, sige.
Okay, back in 2022, you were not supportive of BBM. Now it appears that you are defending him against the DDS.
That's wrong.
What changed?
That's wrong. Yan. That's a common misconception. Kahit nga sa barangay, sasabihin, attorney, pro-Marcos tayo. Yes! Go, go, go. So yung mga ibang barangay na bumoto kay BBM, pro-Marcos. Of course, sasabi ko, ay naku po, hindi po Lenny po ko. Hindi ko po binoto si BBM. Tsaka hindi ko po yan iboboto kahit na ulitin natin yung eleksyon. Hindi ko yan iboboto. Kami nagsabi na corrupt yan at magnanakaw yan at palpak yan. Bakit nyo binoto mga DDS? Yan ang tanong ko sa kanila. Sa amin binabalik, kayo ang kain suka kasi binoto nyo tapos ngayon, kinakain nyo yung sinuka nyo.
Sorry the possibility of a coalition between the Marcoses and the Pink Lawans. What is your stand on it?
The loyalists will be forced to vote for Lenny because they see that Lenny is not corrupt. She's competent. Wala siyang masamang tinapay kay BBM. She can work with any person. She's not pro-BBM, but she can work with BBM if needed, no? And hindi siya corrupt, good governance, etc. So, kung ayaw nila kay Sara, they will vote for Lenny.
My apologies. I'm not just referring to Ma'am Lenny. Jess Rubedo is a very good friend of mine. But in the case of Risa Ontiveros, Kiko Pangilinan, at saka si Bam Aquino.
Malabo na sa akin. Ako, kakamping or pinklawan. Pasensya na sa mga kaibigan ko. I think it's really just Lenny or Raffy Tulfo. Now, until 2028. So Senator Raffy is playing it coy, which is good. Mayor Lenny is also playing it coy, which is good. Coy meaning, layo pa ng 2028 eh. So, hindi mo na nila yan pwedeng i-declare.
So, let's talk about the next tough question. Let's look at your crystal
Ang
ball.
tough na mga questions
Do you
nyo,
see the second half of the year that impeachment
okay ka
trial
sa
will
politiko,
happen? Do you see her getting convicted or acquitted?
Let me see first the first few hearings. Tingnan muna natin. Because, na-discuss ko na yun kanina, sir. Nagkakaawigluhan eh. Let's see. Ang dami din eh. There's many interplay of politics and forces beyond my simple origins.
Coming from you, yung nagkakaarigluhan is very valuable information. Coming from you.
Ako una nagsasabi niyan, sir. I-claim ko ulit. Wala akong ibang narinig na nagkakaarigluhan. Ako una nagsasabi niyan. With all due respect sa administration at kay Ombudsman Boying, asa na yung nag-iinit? Si Bong Suntay nag-init na. Yung flood control, hindi pa.
Sunny Trillanes said na beatable si Sara in a one-on-one fight. But it's impossible to be one-on-one fighter. What do you think? What is your take on it?
I agree with him, but I agree with you that most likely it won't be a one-on-one fight. So it will be a three-way fight. And I think Sara Duterte is still beatable in a three-way fight. Because at most, she will get 33%. The other person can get 35%.
Attorney Falcis, when, before we end, when and where is your debate with Kiko Barzaga happening today?
Magpa-plug ba ako?
Sige, mag-plug ka.
Pwede ba yun?
Yes, of course.
Well, because si
Sagot ka- sige.
Attorney Clint Aranas, who is a Sara supporter, and Tito Mon Tulfo, who is anti-Sara, siya nagsabi nun, they have a podcast, and sila yung nag-arrange. I agreed kasi alam ko naman yung mga kalabang ko ayaw dito sa network, kasi nga may show ako dito, baka sabihin nila, bias. Ako naman, ayoko naman sa network nila. I will never guess on mga fake news networks nila na kung nasaan sila ngayon. So sabi ko, dito tayo, okay yan.
Social media.
Neutral platform. YouTube, Facebook,
YouTube,
of
yeah.
TNT podcast with Tito Mon Tulfo and Attorney Clint
At yung
Aranas.
kay Mon.
Yeah.
So he guessed it talagang he was anti-Sara talaga.
Sabi niya, oo, kasi hindi daw lahat ng mga Bisaya, DDS eh.
Yeah, okay.
Referring to himself.
Okay. So, pasensya na po. We'll join you sa politiko later. Kami naman manggugulo. Akala mo nakalamang ka rito. Hindi
Pasensya ka na,
So,
boss.
thank you, Attorney Jespa. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
Salamat,
As well.
salamat.
Sec, kita-kits, May 2026.
What's in May 2026?
Wait. Let's just end. OT na. Attorney Jess Falcis
in
fights
Outburger.
not just in court, but in the court of public opinion. Yet, behind the heated words and debates remains the question, do these debates and online battles clarify the issues or do they deepen division?
Sorry, so mga loob ko, mas marami alam na kwento to tungkol siya kay sa akin. Ako ang partner mo, labo mong kausap Ultimately, it is not just about the power to speak, it is also about the truth speaking for itself. Former Secretary Nani Agsalud Braganza po.
And I'm former Secretary Edwin Lacierda.
And this is Attorney Jess Falcis.
And we are
The Spoke!